Newcastle back amongst the elite, back in the Aviva Premiership.
Here's George North. What speed? Money well spent.
Quinto scores! The famous day for the Sale Sharks.
Cutting back infield, Donovan still going and dummy-ing and over! They seek that final try bonus point and maybe Ashton can deliver them one. Yes!
This is what Wasps have paid the money for. Oh no! Oh, that is nightmarish!
Yes, the Aviva Premiership season is up and well and truly running. Week 1 producing a fair dose of the drama we've come to expect from this 9-month-long ding-dong, and we're expecting more of the same in round 2 as well. Now, the keen eye amongst you might have noticed the Regency architecture around us and correctly deduced that we are here in Bath, and my hot date for the day on this romantic day trip is none other than Sale, Harlequins, Worcester and England heartthrob Pat Sanderson. Have I missed anything out?
Only the powerhouse that is Preston Grasshoppers.
My research must be improved. Look into your crystal ball and judge using the evidence you've seen so far this season. Do you think it's going to be a vintage one?
It looks to me like it's going to be incredibly tight. I think there's going to be some consistencies from last year. I think 3 of the top 4 will remain the same. Saracens look to me to have left where they took off. Northampton look, if anything, a little bit better, and Leicester have got off to a good start, and they just look super physical and very hard to break down. The next tranche of teams are all vying for that 4th spot, and I think that's where the excitement's going to come this year. And you can't pick between 5 or 6 teams, the Gloucesters, Exeters, Baths. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
Compelling stuff. Now, a quick word on Tom Croft. He was dealt another stinker of a blow with his injury, his knee injury picked up against Worcester last weekend, out for the rest of the season. How difficult is it to stay positive when you've had a run of injuries like he has?
Yeah, I mean, obviously staying positive is one aspect of it, but he's got a good track record of coming back from injuries. He had a terrible injury last year. He came back, and he came back quickly, and he came back to good form very quickly. I think the bigger question mark here is the type of injury this is. It's a lower leg injury, it's a cruciate ligament injury, which are, I guess, one of the hardest injuries to get over. They damage your pace, your agility, all the things that are synonymous with the way Tom Croft plays. So, you know, will we get the same Tom Croft back? I don't know. He may have to reinvent himself.
Well, whenever there's been question marks about his form and his fitness before, he's definitely answered them. We wish, of course, Tom Croft the very best on what looks like being quite a long road back to recovery. OK, amidst all the hoo-ha around Europe this week, it's Premiership business as usual, and let's see how round 2 shaped up. The doors were open at the Stoop and the AJ Bell Stadium in Salford on Friday night for 2 juicy-looking encounters between Quins and Northampton and Sale and Newcastle. Western parts dominated the agenda on Saturday, with Wasps travelling to Devon, the Exiles to Worcester and champions Leicester here at the Rec. And on Sunday, Gloucester were getting their first taste of the rubber crumb at Allianz Park. So let's start this week's roundup in London on Friday night. Northampton had been really impressive in round 1 at Franklin's Gardens, but could they produce the goods again on the road? Had Noah been in London on Friday night, he would have been frantically building an ark. It was deluge time, and talking through all the action in the commentary box were Matt Dawson, Ben Kay and Alistair Eakin.
Just short of the Northampton 10-metre line. Easter trying to work his way up towards the gain line. First sight of Hugo Monye, and he may just have overcooked that. The referee is going to call them back for a previous Northampton offence.
See, he's not too impressed with it. He was somewhere in the 60s last week with his stats, so he would have wanted to just lay all those little demons in his mind to rest.
Penalty again to Quins. Better. Much better. And Quins, for the first time in the match, have their noses just about in front.
Trying to get that leg drive through the contact, add more bodies in, but they lose the ball.
Buchanan sent it forwards, and here's a chance for North, and a little bit of space. He's got Minor outside him. Might not need him. North still going, gets the offload to Foden. Minor is there, inside for Elliott. Thrilling stuff from Northampton. And suddenly, they're 15 metres out, make that 10 metres out. Nearly 5 metres out.
Harlequin's gone for the choke tackle. Northampton need to get this back.
That's a failed maul.
They don't. The referee
Breathe deeply. Priceless man to have in your ranks. A real game changer.
He is. He can be quiet all game, can't he? And then he can just breathe life into the team.
Use it!
Botica moved away. Doesn't want it.
Here come the Saints. If they can gather this very slippery ball, Burrell swings it out wide. Wilson lets it go for Elliott. And Wilson is in! Well, they bided their time. Turnover absolutely key. The ball so slippery.
Just check for a possible knock on.
It's here. No, that is absolutely fine. That's fine. It's gone backwards, and then the boots come in.
Straight off Botica.
There's nothing wrong with that try.
Andrew?
Yeah, David.
You may award the try.
James Wilson, the Kiwi, has struck a vital blow. Advantage is with Northampton, the deliberate slap down. Oh, and there could be a card coming here.
What you're doing, off you go.
Nick Easter dispatched to the sin bin. Northampton surely will close the deal from here with the man advantage.
Professional foul.
Deliberately playing the ball on the floor is the decision. See, Easter then comes in.
Botica for Smith, and it's been knocked forwards by Myler. Now is he going to disappear to the sin bin for that?
Personally, I think he was genuinely reaching to intercept it, but I'd still give the penalty.
I don't know whether it's knocking up or knocking down, but he is trying to stop that ball from getting to the outside.
The ball is knocked forward deliberately.
Myler's going in the bin here. And Northampton lose their fly half, their linchpin, with 3.5 minutes to play. Time's up on the clock. Hartley has done enough. His team have done enough. A real statement of intent from Jim Mallander's men. A gutsy win, an ugly win, but nevertheless a vital one.
You know, we missed 5 kicks a goal, and that's kind of a kick in the solar plexus on a day like today. They missed a couple as well. I suppose the story is that charge down, and at the end they charge it down. Brilliant pick-up, I think it was Dylan. We charge it down through Tom Guest, and it goes to Andrew Small. Still don't know how that wasn't our scrum, but anyway, they were pretty evenly matched, but I think we just edged it, but we didn't have the points on the board, and that's what the game is about. So we'll move on. It's a long old season. I said it wasn't going to define our season. It's a marker. I thought the boys put a marker down. We were miles better than we were last week. Didn't get the win.
What on earth has happened to the hard grounds in the late September sun we're meant to have at this time of year? Utter filth at the Twickenham Stoop on Friday night, but another win for Northampton. What do you think Jim Mallander will be most satisfied with, the romp against Exeter in round 1 or the grafted win against Harlequins in round 2?
I think unquestionably round 2. To go away to Harlequins, it's a difficult place to go. I think things were in their favour. The weather suited their type of physicality and perhaps didn't help Harlequins with the way they like to play. But I still think he'll come away from that thinking we've got one over on Harlequins early doors, and it sets a great marker for us.
Nick Evans doesn't often have off days. He had one on Friday night. The skies were emptying, there were mitigating circumstances, but still you sense that Harlequins aren't quite firing. Why do you think that is?
I think that's largely part of it. You know, they're very reliant on one man, and they haven't got a replacement for him. If he doesn't fire, they're not the same team. Having said that, we've seen in years gone by that the teams that win it outright tend not to be the team that starts well week 1. They tend to build into the season, and I think that's what Harlequins will look to do. Wasps were past masters of it. Leicester, I think last year, the year before, came from mid-table to win the whole thing. So I don't think they'll be too worried about it. The end of the season is what really, really matters, and they'll find their form, and when they do, they'll do it in some style, I think.
OK, let's see what happened on the other game on Friday night. Sale against Newcastle that pitted the not inconsiderable wits of Steve Diamond and Dean Richards against each other.
While Steve Diamond was guiding Sale to an impressive opening weekend victory at Gloucester, Dean Richards' return to the Premiership had been rather less enjoyable. He'd seen his team lose at home to Bath, and with half an hour played on Friday night they trailed again. with this try from Sale skipper Dan Braid coming with the Falcons down to 14 men after the sin binning of Dom Barrow. 11-3 to Sale, but by half-time Newcastle were back in the game and showing the kind of power and determination which had been the cornerstones of Dean Richards' playing career. After failing to get a point on the board in their opening game, they were slowly finding their feet, earning penalties and forcing Sale into retreat. By the break, Phil Godman had been successful with 3 kicks, and Newcastle were just 2 points behind. Diamond had again opted for Nick McLeod in preference to Danny Cipriani at fly half, but he had a mixed day with the boot, missing a conversion and 2 penalties, but successful with this effort, which meant Sale were in front by 2 points with 20 minutes left. Newcastle replaced Godman for the last quarter, and 5 minutes after his arrival, the new man Rory Clegg had the chance to decide the game. Still dominant in the scrum, Newcastle were awarded a penalty, and Clegg kicked his team to their first victory back in the big league. It finished Sale 14, Newcastle 15, an impressive response from the Falcons after the harsh lessons of the opening weekend.
I don't think it was a pretty match. It came down to scrum, line out more time and penalties really, to be honest, but it's, the boys worked hard, and Sale, in fairness to them, they put up a great test for us, but it was good to get that first one under the belt.
Well, disappointed. I thought first half we had a lot of ball and showed a lot of invention, but we just couldn't get away from them. And second half, we thought a couple of tough decisions against us at scrum time, but Newcastle was streetwise tonight and deserved the win.
Didn't quite work it out last week, worked it out a little bit better today. He still gave a couple of silly penalties away in the first half, tidied the game up in the second half and came away with the spoils.
So Newcastle and Dean Richards getting their first win back in the top flight. And do you sense, Pat, from what you've seen so far, that they will be competitive throughout the course of the season?
I think when you look at the coaching staff that sit behind that team, they're going to play a nice simple brand of rugby. They'll have a good set piece, the defence will be solid, and that they will produce good, tough performances, and they're going to be hard to beat. Gopeth missing at 10 for me is probably the biggest question mark. Have they replaced him? Is Clegg going to be enough? I'm not so sure.
Well, Rory Clegg was Dean Richards' man at Harlequins. I think he's obviously got great faith in him. He knows what he can produce, so we'll wait and see on that front. From Sale's point of view, a bit of a come down. They win at Kingsholm in round 1. They lose at home to Newcastle in round 2. How do you explain the reversal of fortune?
Well, it was a huge shock for everybody, I think. No one saw that result coming in week 1, and I think that's probably why they're a little bit undercut week 2. They're probably thinking Newcastle lost fairly poorly, you would say, week 1 against Bath, and they probably thought, we've just got to turn up today. And as we know, the Premiership isn't like that. It's superbly competitive. And
we're under fire. Carry on, we're under fire. You're safe. I mean, I think we got to the end of your answer. It was good enough for me anyway. And we will be focusing on events here at the Rec after the break. Bath with a very serious test of their early season resolve as they take on the defending champions Leicester. That's next in the pipeline. Years and 1 day ago, Bath and Leicester met for the very first time. Leicester won that day, and they've monopolised the bragging rights in recent times too. But I think this lot have had their fill of that and are quietly optimistic the tables may be about to turn. Talking us through all the action in the commentary box were Austin Healy, Lawrence Delalio and Alistair Eakin.
George Ford is rewarded for his impressively controlled exhibition against the Falcons with another start at 10 up against his old club, of course. And with Kyle Ismond ruled out with a knee injury, Gavin Henson is given a first start for the club at inside centre. Some baptism today. Tom Croft's knee ligament damage, meaning that Steve Maffey steps in at blindside. And there's an all-new lock pairing as well today. Both Jeff Parling and Lewis Deacon are injured. So in come Ed Slater, really big season this for him. And new signing Sebastian de Chavez. Lamb spreading width on it. Mulapola, the loose head, out wide. Taken down by Henson. Big long pass is intercepted by Jonathan Joseph. And he will run this in unopposed. Well, it was Bath who were throwing the flowery passes earlier, but this time the Tigers are punished and Jonathan Joseph ducks down under the sticks.
Well, that's sloppy for Brian Lamb. He's put his hand up straight away and apologised to his teammates. He knew from the minute he threw that pass that it was destined for the arms of Jonathan Joseph and not one of his own teammates.
there's a short arm hit from Logo Mulipola, and he might just be in trouble here. Not a whole lot of arm movement.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to go upstairs there. Maybe got the choice of going upstairs, or maybe he's just going to card him straight away.
I think he'd be advised to look at this again.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
I think he's looked at the end result of Atwood on the floor and without looking actually very closely at the incident.
Set. Yes, no.
And a clean hook this time from Webber. Stringer's pushed out of the way by Melee, but Bath had the penalty.
Number 9, push the scrum half. Number 9.
And again, it is Melee who's been singled out by Greg Garner. A good thump from George Ford. Big line out here for Webber, who finds Hooper. Good opportunity this Bath to get their maul rumbling up towards the try line. They have the advantage, and now the penalty. And it looks like another card is about to be brandished. It's in his hand, and it's Tom Youngs this time who is dispatched. Leicester down to 13 men.
Absolutely, they've got some real issues with the referee, and you know he's really taking exception. I mean, I have to say that you know, yes, it was a penalty, yes, it was pulled down. You know, was it still far enough away from the try line to warrant a yellow card?
Never in doubt from the moment it left George Ford's boot. Awkward one for Hamilton. Hooper evaded. George Ford tackle on Lamb, but this is Rokoduguni, and he can be lethal in broken play. Gets the ball out wide. Acres of space for Henson. He's got Banahan out wide. Banahan is going to streak towards the corner. Hamilton is trying to do the tackling, but he's so strong! Fabulous try from Banahan. Fabulous try from Bath. Striking right on the button of half-time. Lamb through Allen and Hamilton. Quick hands for Morris. Jonathan Joseph just about does enough.
Open play.
Lamb goes cross-field, looking for Thompson over the head of Houston, who's going to have to be careful. Thompson has gathered and gets the offload away for Steve Maffey to score.
What a great piece of skill from Thompson there. The referee, Greg Garner's just checking upstairs.
Okay. Graham.
Yeah, I'm in.
Just check the final pass, please, whether it was forward.
Okay, Greg.
Yep.
Yeah, you may award the try.
Try given. Tigers back in the hunt.
Yeah, it's a nice kick. He spots the space. And then Thompson's intelligent. He knows support's coming. He has the strength to stay on his feet.
5 metres out. Lamb trying to skip through. There is no way through. And this looks like turnover ball for Bath. No, it's come back for Melee. And they do have some numbers out wide through Slater.
He's got to go upstairs.
Yeah. Just looked like he might have let his feet go in touch there.
Oh, I'm amazed he's not gone upstairs to that.
Well, the try has been awarded, and Ed Slater has dragged them within touching distance now.
Use it!
Mickey Young providing the link. It goes from Ford. Lamb is underneath it, so to
Vantage knock on.
Tom Biggs, and it's booted ahead by David Melee, but it's not forward. Straight as a die from the Bath number 10. Melee digging for it. And again, they have to work through the phases. Williams for Lamb and Tom Youngs. Surely this is a run-in for Thompson. It's not going to be easy. Inside for Donovan.
Great piece of skill there. Great piece of skill from Thompson. He saw Matt Bannon coming across, making an excellent cover tackle. He thought the opportunity had gone. He just puts the inside ball into Gonover, and Gonover deserves that try after all the effort he's put in.
Banahan plays scrum half. The crowd right in behind their team in the closing stages here. And they've won the penalty. That should do the trick for Bath. Less than a minute to play. 7 points the difference. And they will be very happy to run the clock down from here. If they can just secure possession for a couple of phases, this match will be theirs. Youngs to George Ford, who thumps it away for a famous win. A massive scalp for Mike Ford and Bath.
Sticking together 80 minutes of rugby seems to be a slight problem, if there is a problem to be highlighted. How frustrating is it for you out there that you can't keep up that intensity for the full game?
Yeah, it's frustrating. Yeah, we spoke at half-time about, you know, trying to keep that intensity up and the tempo and stuff, but it's difficult at times, and it's only second game in, and hopefully we'll get better in the next couple of games.
And how much are you enjoying having the number 10 shirt pretty much on your back most Saturdays, turning out for Bath?
Oh, I'm loving it, yeah, just loving playing, to be honest, and that's all I wanted to do, and thankfully I've got about 4 or 5 games under my belt now, and hopefully I can carry that on, and you know, the lads are a great bunch of lads, are great to play with as well.
The message to our fans is, you know, be patient with us, because it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster maybe at times for us, some ups and some downs. We got 2 from 2, so we're pleased from that, but with a young side, they're going to be developing all through the season, and like rightly said, maybe next season as well.
Is the injury list in any way affecting morale at the club, because it's very extensive at the moment?
Not at all. I think we had plenty of opportunities in the first half to score tries. We just didn't take them, and obviously ill discipline cost us dearly. Second half, I think we showed our resilience, and you know, our depth in the squad is massive for us, and people would have looked at our team sheet today and maybe said that there's a weakness there, but I felt we really fronted up and could have come away with a win.
Well, Bath and their supporters absolutely loving every single minute of this victory. They did it here in April against the old enemy, and they've done it again here on Saturday afternoon. How satisfying will that performance from Bath be to all those involved?
I mean, it was a pretty compelling win in the end, I think. I thought they controlled the game much better. They were far more mature than they perhaps were at times last year. And they've got a great, solid defence, which physically can match the likes of Leicester's in the league. So for me, that proves that Bath are here to stay for the duration of the season. How much of a concern will it be to them that they can't seem to keep the intensity for the full 80 minutes? They kind of drift in and out of games on the evidence so far this season. I think particularly critical. I guess that is very, very critical, because we're still right at the beginning of the season, and that sort of consistency comes with time. I think what they've showed is that they can match Leicester in every single department, and today beat them in most, and really encouraging performance from the young Ford lad at 10, who really seems to have matured over the summer. How do you explain Leicester's performance? Do you put a lot of it down to the injury crisis at Welford Road? A little bit. They seem to be in disarray at the moment, don't they? You know, Richard Cockrell not on the touchline, big injury concerns for them. But they've got the strength and the depth to ride this out, and I've absolutely no doubt, you know, when it really matters, they'll come to form. OK, so Bath celebrating a fantastic victory. After the break, we'll switch the attention to Sandy Park, where both Exeter and Wasps were hoping to get over day one disappointments. That's coming next. The manner of Exeter and Wasps' round one defeats were markedly different. The Chiefs by a country mile at Franklin's Gardens, and Wasps by a splinter of a Twickenham upright, but both would have cut just as deep. And when they met at Sandy Park in round two, it was all about banishing those day one demons. Describing all the action for us, Martin Gillingham.
Despite last week's disappointment, Exeter head coach Rob Baxter is largely keeping the faith. Just one change to the starting 15. Sam Hill gets a first Premiership start at the expense of Matt Jess. Wasps are lifted by the return of their captain, Chris Bell. Tom Varndell was hurt in training. His place goes to Josh Bassett. Ashley Johnson comes into the back row. Aidan Thomas, the scrum half, just popping the ball up to Wani Tui. That defeat last week up at Franklin's Gardens really hurt the Chiefs. Up to within half a metre. It's there again for Thomas. Skaysbrook has a little go. In comes Jack Yendall. Yendall being driven across field. Good defence there from Ashley Johnson. Dolman, there's a bit of space here. James, great step from James. Tom James, one of the summer signings, and rewarding the face shown in him by Rob Baxter. Yendall. Good two-handed take there from Johnson. Here's Thomas, seeing what he thought was a gap, and he found the outstretched arm of Ashley Johnson. Johnson shaking his head. I don't think it was deliberate, but the end result will be the same. 10 minutes in the sin bin. Gareth Steenson has been a tremendous accumulator over the years for the Chiefs. And that is fourth success of the afternoon. Back from Thomas. There's Steenson, little mismove in the middle, there's Schumark, releasing Dolman. This is one for James to go after, but Wade's going to get there first. Oh, he's missed it. There's Thomas, beating Skaysbrook. A career that has spanned 12 seasons, but that just his 6th ever try in the Aviva Premiership. Hayden Thomas. Johnson. Straight into Launchbury, two England teammates. Martin Fox penalising Wasps, they went in from the side. Thomas wastes no time, back to Dolman. Here's Steenson. James. Oh, he's through the first defender, past the second. James stretching his legs. What an individual try. One of tremendous quality. Well, Di Young, of all people, knows how effective this fella can be. Former Cardiff Blue, of course. What a start to his Sandy Park career. Well, if there were any doubts about Exeter's ability to bounce back from that setback at Franklin's Gardens, they've answered their doubters today. Wasps desperate to get something out of this. There's Jacobs, Wade. What a running line from the England wing. The try machine is at it again. It was a double-digit return from this man last season, but I suspect too little too late this afternoon. It was a losing bonus point last weekend at Twickenham, and with this field position, the last couple of minutes, the chance perhaps of another one here. And this is well constructed. Ashley Johnson, you can see there, the shirt being ripped off his back, but significantly the ball tucked underneath his arm. The Exeter defence being tested, but they're up, they're over the line, and Martin Fox, the referee, has awarded the try. Ashley Johnson crashes to the turf. Dave Lewis with the put-in. Well, Exeter have leaked a lot of oil in the final quarter. There goes Johnson. But in the end, as Henry Slade boots the ball into touch, the engine has had just enough life in it to get Rob Baxter's men over the finish line. It's relief for the Chiefs.
No, we're disappointed. We weren't creative enough in attack. You know, we had a number of opportunities within sort of striking zone, and we lacked real penetration. We became very lateral. We didn't change angles or create enough space for ourselves and made individual errors. Defensively, we fell off a couple of tackles which allowed them some easy points. So, you know, we're disappointed.
I think we can wrap it up in that it's just nice to get underway, get some points on the board, and get your first home win, obviously, which is very important for both the team and for our supporters. I think anyone who watches the game will see that there were moments where it got a bit scrappy, and come the end it got a little bit hairy for us. But overall, pretty pleased. And again, it's always pleasing to win a game and know there are elements to work on. I think Wasps will probably be a little disappointed with a couple of the tries they conceded, and we're probably the same.
So a compelling game at Sandy Park, but which of the two DORs do you think would have been most satisfied with the response they got after the weekend one disappointments?
Well, no doubt it's been a frustrating start for Wasps. They very narrowly missed out against Quins in week one, another narrow defeat for them, but you're starting to see signs that there's there's a good deal of backbone in that side, and you think that they're going to be competitive for the duration of the season. When it comes down to it, it is results that they're judged by. So Baxter's going to sleep, I think, an awful lot easier right now than Dai Young will be doing.
And he'll have a smile on his face because Tom James looks like a very useful signing indeed, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the guy's big, he's quick, he scores tries for them, and when you look at the way they're starting to develop their game, last year they were very much round the corner, working hard for each other, coming off the number 9. This year they're starting to bring it out to another pass, so slightly more width to the game, which for the likes of James, it's perfect time that he's turned up there. OK, let's move on. London Irish provided the opposition for Dean Ryan's first home game in charge of the Worcester Warriors. Here's how it all panned out.
A tense, close encounter at Six Ways where Worcester have a new look this season and new ambitions under Dean Ryan. After the teams had exchanged early penalties, the home side scored the game's first try through David Lemmy. The conversion from new signing Ignacio Mieres edged them 10-3 in front. And they had the chance to build on that as Chris Haller-Ophir was yellow-carded for using a knee in the ruck. Not quite what he had in mind for his 100th appearance for Irish, but Worcester failed to make the most of their man advantage. In fact, by half-time, with Haller-Ophir back on the pitch, London Irish were level. Marlon Yard earned his first England cap against Argentina in June, and that new status seems to have done wonders for his confidence. He weaved his way beyond the Worcester defence, dived over the line, and then squared up to Mieres. Yard was clearly in the mood, and early in the second half, he gave his team the lead for the first time. His second try owed much to the fluent passing of Eamon Sheridan and Topsy Ojo. And the boos as he crossed the line were evidence the home fans hadn't forgotten his reaction to the first try. With Ian Humphreys adding the extras, it was 17-10 to Irish. But there were still one or two twists and turns to come, and it looks as though Worcester's first home game of the season would end in victory, as an athletic take from Josh Drowninu set the platform for his team's second try of the afternoon. Several phases later, it was Mieres who took his personal points total for the game to 13. He failed to convert though, and that meant with 4 minutes left, Humphreys could step forward with a disputed penalty to give Irish victory. A big bonus for a team who won just once away from home in the Premiership in the whole of last season. And for Worcester, plenty to work on before Harlequins visit Six Ways on Friday.
Well, disappointed because of the result. I think at 10-3, thought we had a lot of control of the game, a lot of field position. We just couldn't convert it, and because we couldn't, we always run the risk of somebody with the ability of Yard floating around to come and punish us, and he did.
Obviously, Worcester's a real hard place to come, and we expected a real tough game today, and it's what we got. And going into the second half, they really put pressure on us in the first 20 to 30 minutes, and we really had to fight hard to get the 3 points at the end. But we're thoroughly happy about the result, but we know there's a lot of things we still need to work on.
We're going to take seats now, and I've insisted I'm the doc because I've always thought George Clooney ER and you are the water boy.
Bobby Boucher.
That's the hierarchy round here. So the game at Six Ways continuing the theme this weekend of tight tussles in round 2 of the Aviva Premiership. How much significance do you think these games between the less fancied sides will have in the final reckoning?
Well, I think history speaks for itself. When you look back in time, there's only ever a couple of points between the team that goes down and the team that manages to survive. And whether that game is in May or whether that game is in September, it really doesn't matter. And I think you can see by the tension in that game today, by the levels of discipline or ill-discipline that we saw, because players are right on the very edge, they're pushing it right to the limit because they just know how important that result may be come the end.
And London Irish only got one away win all of last season, I think I'm right in saying. How fantastic is it for them to have one under their belts in round 2?
Sure, away from home as well, I think is crucial. It'll be big for them from a confidence perspective, and you just feel that if Irish can get some confidence, and the likes of Yari, who seems to be able to score tries in a side that's not particularly moving forward that well, then who knows what some of those playmakers can do.
I felt mildly uncomfortable that your knee's been touching mine throughout that chat, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. OK, one outstanding matter of business from round 2, Gloucester's trip to Allianz Park. We'll see how the Cherry and Whites coped after the break. I think the prize for the biggest eyebrow raisers in round 1 had to go to Sale Sharks, who won at Kingsholm, and Gloucester's second assignment wasn't exactly the easiest way to get back on track. Saracens at Allianz Park, and Jill Douglas was amongst the Cherry and White army bound for North London.
Well, Gloucester have the most passionate fans in the whole of the Aviva Premiership, and that's official, well, according to a scientific study carried out last season. And they always run a bus to the away fixtures. This, of course, their first trip to the Allianz Park, and I've hopped on the bus to get a little bit of reaction to that shock defeat last weekend. Has there been a bit of soul-searching this week?
Little week this week. We've been thinking it was a bad day at the office, and hopefully with the talent we got in our backs today, Charlie Sharp was, this pitch would suit them to run quite fast out there today.
What kind of response are you expecting then?
I reckon they say the way all the fans won, so I think they're going to go out there. And on any day, I think any team can beat any other team. I think we're going to go out there today and really show what Gloucester's all about.
What did you make of that game last weekend? Not quite the perfect start Gloucester were looking to.
It wasn't the perfect start, but we haven't had a perfect start for the last 5 years. We haven't won on the first day of the season since about 2008, I think. That sort of contextualises it a little bit. I think we were unlucky with some of the decisions, but I also think we weren't good enough on the day, and I think Sale outfoxed us, and they were cleverer and they played smarter, and that's what we need to do today. And we've got the capacity to do that. We've got really good forwards, we've got fantastic backs, and it'll be really interesting to see how they manage on this pitch.
What are you hoping to see from Gloucester today then?
A big backlash really, and a big developing the class that we've got in the squad, but the critical part is fighting for the ball. Our back row is critical today, the half backs, that we can release our backs and give Saracens a bit of a surprise today.
Yeah, go on the grass! Well, plenty of expectation from the Gloucester fans as they make their way into the Allianz Park. You know, Saracens are even offering to give them their money back if they lose today, but I don't think that will make up for another defeat for the Gloucester boys. Let's get to the action now. Your commentators are Austin Healy, Ben Kay and Nick Mullins.
Good solid start from Darren Davidjuk, the Gloucester hooker today. Picked up again by the number 2. Huir Edmonds due to play an A game against Sale on Monday, making his way back from a knee injury. And immediately, Jacques Berger, familiar figure, right in the centre. Oh my goodness! He's given a red card. He's given a red card, and someone at the bottom of that pile is the recipient of that red card.
It's not just one. He's had 2 goes at him.
Wayne Barnes couldn't have been better positioned either.
Red card, he's stamped on the head.
And it is Nick Wood, red carded after 73 seconds. Line out taken by Borthwick, picked up by George. Wigglesworth inside to Taylor. Oh, that's the best we've seen of Saracens so far. And Strettle was on the end of it to take them up to the 22.
All feet, all feet.
Wigglesworth to Stevens. He's arrested by Calamafoni. Wigglesworth again. Where are the runners? It's Taylor. He's got through the hole. Oh, that is a wonderful try. And Tompkins dips it down. Well, where's that been for the first quarter of this match? Sharp Saracens handling Joel Tompkins with the try.
A lot of grass in front of Strettle, so he can make his decision. Decides to take on Sharples.
Trinder at the breakdown, great work on the far side, turnover.
This is Davidjuk. How well Gloucester have worked at the breakdown, an area they were completely outnumbered in last Saturday by Sale. Here goes 12 Trees, back doing his day job after a stint in the scrum, and we'll come back for the penalty.
And we've spoken about the bind on the other side.
Oh, that is another mighty, mighty kick from Burns. It was an interesting Gloucester line-out that was eventually won by Calamafoni.
Yep.
Start of his second season with the club. Strettle went with England to Argentina.
That's a penalty as well.
Another penalty.
Number 6.
Well, it's been the most testing of 40 minutes in the North London rain for Nigel Davis and the crew.
20 seconds to go, fellas.
Set it on their biggest man. Vunipola doesn't even have to jump. But that's good riposte from the Gloucester men.
It's a penalty though, isn't it? David up from the side.
Wigglesworth will give it a go with ball that's free. This is Taylor. His burst set up the try for Tompkins in the first half. Away by Farrell. Tompkins gives the ball to Mayer. Wild Strettle. Once again, the quality of the Saracens' handling to be admired, and they have their second try.
Really, really good handling.
Your advantage.
Brits back in the fray. A couple of weeks sooner than everyone was expecting. Saracens appealed against the ban that he got for thumping Owen Farrell in that Lions match, and here he is, and look at what he's set up. What a drive that is, motoring towards the line. They've got the penalty, they might get much more. Farrell chips it through. They'll go back for the penalty, and there's a yellow card coming here. And for 10 minutes without the service of Sione Kalamafoni, Gloucester are down to 13, and they'll have just one recognised back rower.
Billy Vunipola stood at scrum half ready for the drive, but just be aware of something from the Saracens boys, maybe choosing to join it.
Joubert's 8th take, the initial surge from the Cherry and Whites, but it won't be enough. Weight of numbers. Saracens are rolling away with this at pace.
Scott Brits underneath that with the ball.
Bind.
Now then, Saracens, a little over 3 minutes to get that elusive fourth try and the full 5-point win. This is where the advantage is. Vunipola controlling it, going for the line and scoring. That's what money buys you. And it's bought Saracens another last gasp bonus point win.
Good work. Thanks.
The heart that Gloucester have played with this afternoon. Cook flicks it to Sharples, but Sharples was aware that Tompkins was on, and Strettle, if he can gather, will score, and he does, despite the best efforts of Sharples.
Just in case he lost it forward.
Sarri scored 2 at the death.
Really nice piece of skill from Stretts. No, it's a try, well played.
Wayne,
yeah,
you may award the try.
thanks, mate.
Ben Spencer with the kick to wrap up what is now officially Saracens' biggest ever win at their relatively new home at Allianz Park.
Well, that was some performance in your first home match of this Aviva Premiership.
Yeah, it was tough first half, you know, they had the elements a bit, and we just knew we held out that first half, come out in the second half, get a game plan together, and it came to fruition, thankfully.
Was the die cast after that moment of madness in the beginning of the match?
Yeah, it was a shame, you know, we tried hard for 40 minutes, we hit the win in that first half, and, you know, we went into half-time with the lead, so it was pleasing with 14 men, but, you know, it was always going to be a tough ask that second half, playing into the win and playing with 14 men, probably in the end it cost us.
And they showed a lot of fight and a lot of spirit during that first half, and we knew in the second half as well we would have to break them down and wear them down, and we eventually did that, and that's why I think it was a good, solid professional performance.
I think the future of Bath Rugby is in very safe hands by the looks of what's going on down there. Let's just quickly assess round 2 of this Aviva Premiership season. Did it emphasise for you that it's going to be all about the fine margins this time round?
Yeah, I mean, the big attraction of the Premiership is it's one of the truly competitive leagues that we've got, and I think this year more than ever, it's very hard to pick an outlier right now. And I think that's going to make for some fantastic viewing later on.
And who stood out for you as the star performers of round 2?
Clearly, I'd like to pick a forward.
Go on, then.
And to be fair, you know, this time of year, though, I mean, the grounds just lend themselves to the back threes, don't they? You know, Yard getting a brace for London Irish. I think we'll see an awful lot more of him this year. Tom James at Exeter, I think, is a great addition. But I really enjoyed watching Anthony Watson. I think he's one to watch this year, and he's going to. I think he'll make some waves. Sharp feet, sharp feet. Thanks, Pat. Great stuff. Don't forget, we're back same time, same place next week. ITV4 at 8 o'clock, and also on ITV4 HD, where you can see my chins and Pat's bald spot in even sharper focus. Enjoy your week. See you next time.